right. Hello, hello. Long time no see. So just grab the headphones if you don't have them.
Un nuevo proyecto, una manera muy diferente de vivir el deporte rey.
C'est dans la tête, le mental.
Bienvenidos a esta gala de este draft de la Kings League, que ya teníamos muchas ganas.
Genios como él, don Andrea Pirlo, cruzando. 3, 2, 1. Papi, el rebote. ¡Golazo! ¡Gol! Arranca la semifinal.
Presidentes, están ya listos. Oficialmente empieza la primera ronda de negociación.
Inicia la carrera Ortega de Nicar las planas. ¡Y es Añonitas! ¡Oh, la torreta de negocio! ¡Pero qué golazo! ¡Pero qué golazo! ¡Rebote, golazo! Penalti shootout. Penalti shootout para Pío. Acaba de mandar bien Oribe.
Está la encuesta ya. Hostia, negro, ¿eh?
Bienvenidos al nuevo Cupra Arena.
¿Dónde la hacemos? Vale, gente, votad todos. Ojo, Málaga, ¿eh?
Estamos en Málaga, tío. World Cup begins now.
But what happens if you change those rules?
Kelvin le pega, chuta, Kelvin, gol.
Se libera la bestia y de esa forma arrancan los 20 minutos que definirán. Se está metiendo entre los jugadores. ¡Kelvin!
Muy buena toma de decisión. ¡Uy, madre mía, lo que le acaba de hacer! ¡Es el campeón de la Queen League! Defensa tiene que tocar hacia atrás. ¡El remate! ¡Qué golazo! Final del partido. ¡Pancinos es campeón del mundo!
Wow. It's great to start like that. And I'm very glad to have you here on stage, Oriol. Welcome to the global stage. You really are global, and you're really like taking the sport by storm. So I'm really happy to have this chat so that there's a lot going on, so I think there's a lot of things that are interesting to share with the audience. We're talking about innovation, we're talking about global, we're talking about new business models, and in a way, you're everything of it. So what is Kings League? Let's start from the very beginning.
Well, thanks very much for having us. Kings League is actually several things at the same time, as you were saying. It started 2 years ago. Actually, the presentation of the first league, which was the Spanish one, was exactly 2 years ago last week. A lot of things have happened in 2 weeks. Every time I see this video, in 2 years, sorry, I think about everything that we went through. Very basically, the idea behind the Kings League is that 2 years ago, when we were discussing, we were already doing some projects with streamers, with content creators in Spain, especially with Ibai, which is the biggest one by far. And we kept seeing the engagement that younger audiences were having with these guys compared to other products, especially in sports. And all of us at Kings League love football, have loved football all of our lives, but many of us were at the same place, I would say, 2 years ago, thinking that maybe football is not going at the speed that these younger generations are going. 90 minutes game, that sometimes it's too long. The fact that it can end up 0-0, which for some of these audiences, it's something that it's crazy. So the players are every time more close, that they are always saying the same in the press conference, that there is more and more distance between the viewer and the football itself, and that football is not getting renewed at the speed at which these audiences require. All of this made us think that there was an opportunity uniting both the fact that there were some things that could be changed, we thought, in terms of the consumption of the sport itself, plus the way we reach the audience. So it's a discussion about going where they already are, which in Spain and in many places is the streaming community and the content creators. We put these two together and we started working. We signed all of the biggest streamers in the Spanish-speaking community, both in Spain and in LATAM. We started by that. We went to 12 of them. The 12 said yes, so we started this project. And parallel to that, we started thinking on ways in which we could improve a little bit the experience of watching football. Obviously, we cannot compete with traditional football in many ways, but there are ways in which we can do things that traditional football will not be able to do. We can control the whole ecosystem. That's one of the keys of the Kings League, because we employ the players. Everything happens in a venue that we own. We own, obviously, the media rights. We own the whole ecosystem. And we partner with the streamers who are the owners of the teams. This is very basically the definition. It's a closed league, 7-a-side competition, a closed league with no relegation, with no changes. So it's a franchise league, and that creates a lot of value for the streamers themselves, because they own a team and they act like if it was a video game, because actually they are making decisions like they have always have done in video games, but in real life. And so we started changing rules of the game and making it, we think, more engaging. It's just a 20-minute per half, and every 2 minutes there is something happening all of the time. So that's one thing that we have advantage over traditional football, which is we can decide the change today, and this next Sunday it will be applied. Whereas in traditional football, obviously, you will need a lot of time to put everyone together in a room and make decisions. This is our story in the last 2 years. Obviously, it's much more complicated than that, but just to summarize, this is it.
It seems like 20 years. I mean, for
it looks like a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just 2 years ago. I remember when you guys started, and then you had the final after 3 months or something like that, and you got the Camp Nou completely sold out.
Yeah.
So I think that the numbers are just unimaginable. So it's just people would not even think that was a thing. And actually, if you have any numbers that you can share, because I think that it's a great story, but when you see the numbers that you guys have, it's like, it's not a nice story.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's right there?
Nowadays, every league during a match day in the weekend, we have around 3 million people watching throughout the weekend. We had a World Cup in Mexico just a few months ago with 2 million people watching the finals live on stream. So we, as you were saying, at the beginning, we started really strong in Spain, only in Spain, with a league in Barcelona that was way worse than what it is right now. We have improved the product, but back then we already had hundreds and thousands of people, concurrent viewers every single match day. And in 3 months, that took us to the Camp Nou, which was a crazy idea until we sold out. And we had a final with 92,000 people. I remember that night after the Camp Nou saying, okay, now we don't have anything else to do right now. Where should we go? And since then, we have done, I think, 8 major events in some of the biggest stadiums in the world, in Estadio Azteca, Camp Nou, Metropolitano Stadium, several of them, both indoor and outdoor. And last night, we announced that we are going to have the final here in Torino, in Juventus Stadium, which is something that makes us very happy, because it will be the first final of the first World Cup of Nations that we organize. We did a World Cup of Clubs back in June in Mexico, but this one is going to be bigger because everyone else, not only the fans of the streamers, everyone else, just because of the fact that the nations are involved and that there's this aspect of you following your national team, we think it will be even bigger.
Yeah, there's a lot of announcement you made yesterday, but we are going to get to that point. There's going to be a lot of interesting things about Italy specifically. But one thing that was always, I was always against when everybody says, like, young generations, they always have a short attention span. They can stay like 30 seconds, 15 if you want. And the thing I always answer is like, maybe it's not the right product. And you're the definition of actually they can stay there. They can be on live stream for a long time, way more than 15 seconds.
Exactly. No, in our case, it's strange because it's obvious that we are going to this generation, that obviously TikTok generation and short content. And we became last year the #1 sports property in the world in TikTok in terms of engagement. And it's because obviously it works in TikTok, but at the same time we have many people, a lot of people watching for a 7-hour long stream every Sunday, because the match days are 7-hour long because there are 6 games plus the pre-show and the after show. So we have both, and the key to that is not about the fact that it lasts 7 hours, is that things change every 2 minutes, and that's one of the keys to the design of 1-hour games. So we start 1 versus 1. Every minute there's 1 more player until there's the 7. So those are the first 7 minutes. That lasts until minute 18, in which we throw a dice, and whatever number comes up, it's the number of players that stay on the pitch. Then we go to halftime, 2 minutes. After the halftime, there are secret weapons that can be deployed. So a lot of things. The penalty of the president, which is the owner, the streamer, gets to shoot a penalty. And then at the last 2 minutes, we have either double goal or golden goal. So in any case, it's all of the time something is happening, and that's the key, and that's for 7-hour long. Now in Spain, in Americas, we have also the second league. Once we finish the first 2 splits in Spain, we launched Kings Americas, which is the same concept but in Mexico, and yeah, it's working because the fact is that we need 2 things for this to work. We need streaming community, because obviously we are relying a lot on the fact that these streamers already have a lot of community with them and they bring it to the project, and tradition with football. Obviously, we need a lot of players to be able to select the best ones. We need football fans to watch us, and there are several places in the world where we think this is going to work. Spain in Barcelona was the first one, Mexico is the second one, and Italy will be the third one. Yeah.
I'm waiting for you in the UK. Eh? I live in London.
No,
so
at some point.
Come on.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I always wondered, when I hear as well, like the young generations are detached from football. And in reality, it's not that they are detached from football in general. They love football. It's just that it's just not the way they are consuming or living it. And I was looking at your numbers in terms of audience, and the demographics are like just the youngest demographic that is impossible to catch. If you want to share some numbers there, because I think they are specifically very interesting, because those are the guys that you cannot catch in general from a traditional media point of view.
Our audience is mostly male. That's one of the first things that we knew was going to happen, not because football itself, but because we are relying, again, especially at the beginning, very much in the streamers that already had their communities built, and we knew those numbers. The average age, I would say, it's around 24, 25. So we have a lot of people underage, and we have a lot of kids. Every event that we do, it's good because you get to see them face to face. Otherwise, it's a number, and it's always on stream. But in the event, we have a lot of people that are older than myself, and with kids, and they bring their kids, and it's pretty much a family event wherever we go. We are now going to Tenerife for the finals of Spain. We're going to Toluca for the finals of Mexico, and you see always the same, which is a lot of different profiles, which is something that was surprising at the beginning, because we were convinced that it would work in this typical 18 to 24, which is the demographics that we are always working on. But there are a lot of kids and a lot of older people. So it's not that easy. It looks like it is specifically for younger audiences, but there's a lot of different kind of people, and especially because we tend to have different kinds of content creators that bring their own fan bases, and the key here is that they feel it like their own club, because it is what it is, that they saw it being born, the club, then they bought it, they bought it, the logo, so they have felt the whole history. It's not a 100-year-old history like any other football club. It's a 2-year history, but it's really engaging for them, and they buy jerseys, and they attend the events, and they follow the team everywhere. So for me, it's the most the most beautiful thing that has happened in these 2 years is this creation of this ecosystem, that None of it existed 2 years ago, and now it's hundreds and hundreds of people that are leaving, that are working on the Kings League or in the team, or that are fans of a Kings League team, or that the ecosystem is huge, and that's one of the keys, that it's not only a product that we broadcast and some people watch, it's an ecosystem that lives, and there are obviously a lot of problems, a lot of controversies, everyone is talking about the referees, so that doesn't change.
That doesn't change, always the
as
same
many
thing.
things as you
It's always the
want, but
referee's
they will
fault.
keep complaining about the referees. But that's for me the good thing, that it's an ecosystem that creates a lot of content in itself.
And you're putting together two types of players. There's the legends, and then there's the whatever you name it, like whatever player like who loves to play. But then, how did the legends take it? Because I mean, they are traditional by definition. I mean, they come from traditional media. They've been living the traditional media space when it was just traditional. How did they take the whole idea of it?
We started the project with 12 teams in Spain. There are two of those teams who are still owned by Iker Casillas and Kun Agüero. We did the same in Mexico when we launched, and we have James Rodriguez and Chicharito Hernández. Yesterday we announced 12 teams here in Italy that at some point will get to be owned also by legends, and they will be involved. So they at the beginning they came just because they were trying to reach these younger audiences, but then they learned that the fact that the Kings League works because of the fact that you own a team and you get to feel whatever you feel when you play a fantasy game or whatever, but in real life, it works both for all of them. And Kun Agüero, for example, is one that is really, really engaged in the day-to-day of the club. And that's something that at some point, if you like football, at least I speak for myself, I have always dreamt of having my team or managing a football team. It's like a dream for any football fan, and you get to do it in the Kings League, and you get to see the results, and you get to win a trophy against all of these guys that are, in some cases, really well-known people. Then, after we started, and the third week we announced that Ronaldinho was coming to play, which was crazy because we have players coming from 5th division in Catalonia, 4th division, third division at most. And then Ronaldinho was playing amongst them. And it's interesting because I think it works differently in every territory. But in Spain, it was strange because it was a mix of, we want to do our own thing, so we don't want to get mixed with traditional football because it's our thing, we created, and we want our brands to be shining and not to be eaten by the traditional football. But at the same time, the fact that a legend comes here and says, okay, your product is cool and we want to play with you, it's good for them. So this started with Ronaldinho, then Andrea Pirlo came to play, then Shevchenko, then a lot of guys, and Francesco Totti, a lot of legends have come to play. Kun Agüero has played in his team many times, Iker Casillas as well. And it creates a funny moment because you see guys who were, again, in 5th division that are 20 years old, that absolutely no one knew of them in January 2023. And in March 2023, they were playing in front of 90,000 people at Camp Nou, playing next to legends that have lived everything in this game, but that they are now really concerned about doing it right in Kings League. So it's funny because you see them in the locker room, because obviously we show everything that happens in the locker room, and they are one more guy. It's not that they don't respect them, but they treat him like any other guy, and it's really cool to see.
Good. And speaking of legends, you announced a lot of things yesterday. Do you want to tell us more about Kings League and Kings League Italy that's coming?
Yeah, it's Italy. We are really excited about Italy because, again, it's a place in which we know that there are the two things that we need, which is these younger audiences interested in streaming and in this world, but also, obviously, football. Italy, on top of that, is probably by far the place in the world with more legends per square meter because it's everywhere. And we are really happy that some of them joined us, and yesterday we had an event with Andrea Pirlo, with Buffon, with Totti, with Del Piero, with Chiellini, with Luca Toni, with Marchisio, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. All of these guys were in the event yesterday. They will have different roles in the league, but many of them will be involved. And I think it's really cool that this is happening in Italy because there are places like in Argentina, for example, which obviously they are also very traditional with football, that it has not been the same because they feel like traditional football is something that is untouchable and that we are here to break something that is really precious, which is not the case. And in Italy, we have found the contrary, which is really fun. Yesterday we announced the league itself was already announced, but we presented the teams, the presidents of the teams. We announced that Italy will be the host of the Kings World Cup Nations, which will be our first World Cup of Nations, which we are really excited about. It's going to start on January 1st here in Italy until January 12th, and that the final of the World Cup will be in Allianz Stadium in Torino, which we are really excited about because we have been in many places, but yesterday when we arrived to Torino for the event, we saw the stadium, and it's really cool, obviously, to have our product in Juventus Stadium.
And clearly you had a big party yesterday, like announcing it. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to go in terms of numbers. Do you have any expectations in terms of what's going to happen here?
I really think there is everything here for it to be very good in Italy because there is no competition. There's no one who's... There are some examples of leagues that have been trying what we are trying to do, but now that we are coming, we are lucky enough to be able to count with the biggest streamers in the country. So the list that we wanted at the beginning, we have all of them, and then we will add the legends. So it will bring kind of another mainstream attention of media and live viewership that we consider essential. I would say that the lineup, if you had told me 2 years ago that we would have a league in Italy and this would be the lineup, so all of the best streamers in the world, the country, and all of the biggest legends, I don't know who else we can bring because again, the list that I just shared is some of the biggest names in the history of the sport of this country, and so everything is ready for us to shine here, and especially because of the fact that we are going to have the World Cup here, which will be which will create a lot of hype. Which is the gas that we need for this to work towards the beginning of the league at the end of January.
Cool. So now Italy is launched and you're already in Spain, clearly. You're in Americas. What's next? What's the global expansion list?
We are announcing another league probably this week, at the end of this week. There's the fourth one that we are announcing. It's actually
Two leagues announcement in a week. I mean,
no, because yesterday was the presentation. Italy was announced in June, and the same thing with Italy in June. We are going to do it this week with the next league that we are launching. That I don't want to leak right now, but it's going to be a big one as well. And yeah, no, we have already said that we want to. That 2025 is for us a crucial year of expansion because we have already 4 leagues now with Kings and Queens in Spain and Kings and Queens in Americas. Italy will be the 5th one, and we are announcing the 6th one, and probably there are a couple or more to come at the beginning of next year. So it's a crucial moment for us. We are working really hard on these expansion plans. And obviously in every territory you find different situations. There are some places in which you have all of the streamers, but it's difficult to find a venue. There are others in which the venue is very clear and you might have the legends, but you're missing the streamers. So we are doing everything at the same time and really excited about it, yeah.
And I was looking at your numbers, and if I'm not wrong, the whole reach that you're getting in Spain is altogether like 500 million subscribers altogether. Same kind of number for America. So you're basically covering 1 billion people just with 2 leagues. What do you want to reach? The whole globe? Like, what's the goal? There are not too many left, huh? Like
no, and
1 billion already.
In our business and the business that was there before we got there, so the live streaming industry in terms of the streamers and the platforms and the viewership, everyone tends to only look at live viewership, which we do as well. We do count how many people are watching us online, but one of the good things that the Kings League has compared to other sports is that many people watch after in VOD, which you tend to think that doesn't happen much in traditional football. You don't watch a game the next day, or it's very strange that you do that.
You watch the highlights.
Exactly, but in Kings League there's a lot of people watching the VOD. There's a lot of people watching the league with TikTok videos that we post. There are so many formats. And I'm only talking about our formats from the league, but every single president, every single content creator, the team owners, create their contents, both live and VOD. So there is a point in which there is so much content around the Kings League because of the fact that we are an ecosystem, which is was my previous point, that you lost count. It's impossible to know how much people are watching you. We try to do it because obviously the brands ask how much impressions and this kind of questions, but it's impossible. It's too much, and we are aiming several different communities in several different countries. A lot of people in LATAM watch the Spanish league. A lot of people in Spain watch the Americas league. I know that a lot of people in Spain will watch the Italian league, and so on and so on. So we now have 68 teams in the ecosystem, so it's impossible to follow all of them. And so this will evolve. There will be people who will follow the Italian league, but there will be people who will only follow Fede's team, and then in Spain, DJ Mario's team, and in America's Chicharito's team. This will happen, and there will be other people who will watch the Spanish league. There are many people now watching Spanish league, and when we finish, we start in Americas because of the time difference, and they watch 12 games in a row. There's a lot of people doing that. So yeah, we tend to fix to look a lot on live viewership, but there's many other viewers in our ecosystem that we take care of them as well. Yeah.
Cool. And one last question. What are you most proud of in these 2 years of work, of Kings League?
There are many things that we did wrong, and we learned the lesson. And we always use the same example, which is that last year, in 2023, we launched Spain. Then Kings, we launched. Then it was working so well that we rushed to launch Queens League. That we launched the Prince Cup, which was the kids version that was really successful. We launched a lot of formats, the transfer market window, a lot of things. Then we launched the Kings Cup, then the Queens Cup, then the Kingdom Cup. At the end of the year, everyone was exhausted, including the audience, because we had a new toy and we wanted to play, and we kept playing and we played too much. So I'm proud of the lessons that we've learned and the design that we've made of the calendar now, that it's a better one for the audience. I think if I have to choose one thing that makes us proud, I keep insisting on this fact that this is an ecosystem, because once you see that there are maybe just in Spain 1,000 people working with us, both with players of Kings and Queens and our staff. We are more than 160 people in the company right now. The staffs of the teams, the referees, the casters, everyone who works in this universe is growing and growing, and this is really cool, because again, this is a lot of people that didn't know each other 2 years ago, and that they got together and created something that is really impactful, that is going to be now replicated around the world. So that is what I'm most proud about.
You know what's very interesting? I come from innovation. I come from technology. And if I ask the question, what are you most proud of? And you start with what we did wrong, that's the typical approach of an innovator, like somebody who gives it you need to try. Sometimes you're just wrong, you just don't know, you just keep trying, and then it's going to work, and you need to keep moving the boundaries and pushing them, and then when it works, it really works, and it's going to be something that has not been there, and definitely that's your DNA, and thank you for this chat. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
Good luck with whatever is next.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Presenti tu? All yours?
Bene, torno un attimo in italiano perché il prossimo panel sarà in italiano. Grazie Oriol. Io ho persino scritto un librettino